What's up, my peeps? This is your girl, Fabulous Fabs. I'm here with my older sister, Anita.
Hey.
And today we wanted to do a special video regarding the DACA and the Dreamers because there is some law going through the Supreme Court right now going on, whether it's going to allow them to stay Dreamers or it's going to force all the Dreamers to go back to their original birthplace. So here I got my sister who happens to be a Dreamer, and we're gonna go over like what the process is and the whole 9 yards, and kind of get you guys a little bit more informed about what it is if you don't know what it is, and kind of, let you guys know what it's all about. So I have set up a couple questions that I wanted to ask, or that most people have for Dreamers or people that have the DACA, and we're gonna go ahead and get started with that. So first of all, we're going to first tell you what the DACA stands for.
The DACA stands for the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals. It's an American immigration policy that allows some individuals with unlawful presence, so that means they're not breaking the law anymore, in the United States after being brought to the country as children, to receive a renewable 2-year period of deferred action from deportation and become eligible to work in the United States.
Legally.
All right. So the first DACA was originally placed by the President Obama, and he did that on June 15, 2012.
Okay. So what is the difference between DACA and Dreamers?
So DACA just refers to, it's just talking about the Dreamers in general. So the Dreamers are the people that dream, just like Martin Luther had a dream that everybody was treated equal. DACA is essentially that. It's for us that were dreaming to one day be, U.S. residents, U.S. citizens, and U.S. people, and do what's best for America.
What's the application process like for Dreamers?
So applying for the DREAM Act, when it was originally opened, you had to do a process. So the first step was you had to go to the USCIS department, and you had to, which is the Homeland Security Department, and you had to basically do a couple applications. One of them was is the I-821D, which is the Consider of Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals application. Is about 7 pages long, but it has about maybe 20 pages of instructions that you must follow and read, with accurate and truthful information. The next one is the I-765, which is the application for employment authorization. So basically that's just for you to get a card that allows you to work legally in the United States. And then there's also the I-Form 765WS, which is actually a worksheet that you basically have to give information, like an essay about why you need this program and why you want to reapply every 2 years. There's also a G1145E, notification of application petition acceptance, which means they can email you. So it's a lot faster process, being that it takes months for you to find a response. You're basically just waiting for like the mail every single day for you to get a reply if yes, you've been approved again, or no, you have not been approved. And then you also have to include a cashier's check to the Homeland Security for $495. And this process is something that you have to continually do every 2 years, because the permit for work and the social to work, it's only good for 2 years. If you don't renew it, then you lose the ability to work legally, and you lose your social. And if you work in a financial institution or a hospital or anything like that that's essential right now, you can no longer do that.
Do you have to have a high school or a college degree to become a Dreamer?
You don't need to have a college degree. They do want you to have some sort of a GED or a high school degree, because they want to make sure that you are bettering your life, but it's not required.
Okay. How often do you have to renew it?
Every 2 years. So as I mentioned before, every 2 years you have to do the application. You have to get your fingerprints. So the 4 applications that I mentioned with the cashier's check, you have to get your fingerprints and your background checked by the FBI to make sure that you don't have any criminal record on your profile. If you do, you get disqualified.
Who can qualify to get the DACA?
So right now, it is in limbo. So the people that already applied for the DACA previously, they can continue to apply. I'm not really sure if new people can apply because technically they're still waiting to see what the Supreme Court's going to do. But yeah, so that's kind of where we're at.
What happens after getting approved or denied from the DACA?
So the whole process takes about 150 days. Before, you were not able to apply prior to that. So like, let's say your DACA expires in 160 days. You had to wait till it was 150 days before you can apply. Now they're recommending that everybody that has the DACA right now and is in good standing apply as soon as possible, just in case something does happen and the Supreme Court decides that they're no longer going to have the DACA program. At least you already have your application and hopefully get it approved before it all finalizes.
Why haven't you become a citizen?
So a little bit of my background. I've been here, or I was brought here to the United States when I was 1 year old. My mom came from a very violent relationship where my real father would beat her up all the time while she was pregnant. She came running away
With me.
from...
She was pregnant with me.
Yes. She was running away from a relationship she was forced to marry at the age of 18 with somebody that she really didn't care for, but was considered wealthier in our region. In Mexico, where my mom's from, has no... women are only born to cook, clean, and have children. That's the only thing they're allowed to do. So my mom never attended any school. My mom never learned how to read or write in Spanish or English or any language. So it was extremely hard for her to do anything different. So she brought me over. I stayed here not knowing that I was here illegally till, my whole life. Not till I went to high school and started applying for FAFSA, found out that I couldn't qualify for any financial aid. Is when I found out that I didn't have a social, wasn't a legal alien. And because at that point, unfortunately, the punishment for somebody to do that and stay here illegally, once you find out, I guess when you turn 18, is 10 years. They send you back to your country for 10 years and you're not allowed to come back. So long story short, sometimes it doesn't really matter if you're married to a citizen or if you have a citizen kit, which I do both. I have a bachelor's degree. I paid with my own cash. I had a full-time job. I never asked for any financial aid assistance because I couldn't qualify back in 2012, which is something that was changed after. I always paid taxes every single year. I have everything in order. I've never gotten a parking ticket. I've never been cited for anything that I shouldn't be doing. I don't drink and drive. I don't do anything that's not legal in this country. That does not help my case as much. The only people that are pretty much getting approved for citizenships or residence is people that really, 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 really can prove that their spouse or, doesn't have a job, doesn't have a hand, just came back from the army and they're like dying and you're the only person that can help them are the people that are pretty much getting approved, which is very unfortunate for most of us that just kind of have to wait.
So people that have the DACA do pay taxes? Because that's a common question.
Yes. So as I mentioned before, they do a FBI background. They do fingerprints. They make sure that you don't even have, even if you have a couple misdemeanors, like a couple DUIs, that may stop you from being able to renew your DACA. Like any little criminal offense that you may have will not help you in your case. You have to make sure that you always follow the rules, that you're a abiding citizen. And if you have a criminal record, then you don't qualify to renew it. So yes, we do pay taxes. If anything, we pay more taxes because our tax bracket gets changed because we're technically considered not U.S. citizens or residents, so we get taxed more. Truth.
Have you personally experienced any discrimination towards you?
Yes. And as I mentioned before, I do work for a financial institution. And I am considered an essential right now with my job, just like many nurses, many doctors. Unfortunately, just by looking brown or just by speaking Spanish or any other type of discrimination, people do target us more. They feel like,
they're inferior.
yeah, that we're inferior to them, and that, you know, we're not good for society, when the truth is we provide a lot for the society. There's a lot of DACA recipients that are nurses right now, that are drivers right now, that are you know, anything you can think of. Since we have the social, we have the authorization permit to work, we can do it. We work, so we are these people. You just don't know because maybe you've never asked, or you know, if they've never told you, because most of the time we like to keep our lives private. We definitely matter. We do a lot for the government, and we do a lot for our families, which is what the reason why it keeps us pushing harder and trying to continue to renew our DACA every 2 years, although it can be a hassle, and a lot of people do have to get a lawyer involved to try to help them out with the paperwork. It's tough.
So would you say that DACA people are not the kind of people that are here to drain the system financially, like take abuse,
No.
take free hand-me-downs, like, you know, here for the welfare, here for the free, you know, anything that they can get their hands on that's free, or that, you know, people might consider you guys robbing this country from? Would you consider DACA people those kind of people?
No, and like I mentioned before, definitely not, because the kind of people that you're describing are people that would not qualify for the DACA. They would not qualify to be considered dreamers, because they would automatically be defaulted. Like there's no way that they would be able to qualify. So
if they get any government aid, you're automatically disqualified from even becoming a DACA?
No. It's more like, let's say they're drinking and driving, and
people that are not law-abiding citizens.
Yes, so people that are not law-abiding citizens can't really get DACA. So like if you're not paying taxes, then more than likely they're not going to approve you, because you're taking from the government instead of helping them, you're taking it. So you have to prove that, you know, you are abiding by the laws. Like you still can't break laws just because you're here illegally. Well, now legally, because once you get approved for the DACA, you are here legally. So it's not like you're a legal alien anymore. But that's why people fight so hard for it, because it needs to be renewed every 2 years. So let's say, worst comes to worst, and like let's say your DACA expires this year and it's still in limbo, then you are pretty much out of a job. And let's say you're one of those doctors, or one of those nurses, or one of those lawyers, or one of those bankers. Well, you could be helping the society, but at this point you can no longer do that, because you don't have the authority to do it anymore. And if you do, they'll fire you, because the banks, the hospitals, you know, they know when you are with E-Verify, they know if you're here legally or not, or if you have the authority to work or not. So it's not like you can lie.
So you were able to get provided a better lifestyle of living and a better lifestyle for your family by having the DACA?
Overall, I guess it's a better lifestyle for everybody. Like you can provide food, you can provide shelter for your family, you can provide financial stability for your family and for the government. Because a lot of people, like I said, we pay so much in taxes. If anything, we get taxed more than residents and citizens. Our money makes a big difference when, especially like circumstances like right now where the economy needs to take out money. Like we're the ones that are helping it. Right now,
how many dreamers are there? Do you know?
That's what I'm gonna research right now as of today. So the information I found online, as of 2019, which is probably a lot more now, DACA recipients, there was 660,880 DACA recipients at that moment. I'm sure at this point it's over 700,000 people that are doing good for the economy, doing good for the government, and doing good for society.
So if the bill was to pass that is in the Supreme Court right now, all those 700,000 people in the DACA doing good stuff, like lawyers, nurses, truck drivers, people in financial institutions like my sister, they would all have to stop what they're doing, basically pack and bounce out to a hometown that they might not even know, you know, a different country that they were born in, but they don't call home.
Exactly. People that probably have never been to where they were born, have no understanding of what society requires in that government, has no way to have a job or provide for their family, and ultimately get separated by their family members. Because if you have a daughter that's a citizen and a husband that's a citizen, you ultimately have to leave them behind and go by yourself and separate families.
Do you have any advice for people that are, if the DACA gets to stay, if you guys get to stay here and the Supreme Court approves you guys, the dreamers, to stay here longer, because this is not a permanent thing. Like she said, it has to be renewed every 2 years, and there's always an uphill battle from people trying to get the dreamers out because they consider them illegal still and consider them to be breaking the law. Do you have any advice for anybody if it were to pass in the Supreme Court in you guys' favor? Do you have any tips for anybody wanting to go through the process?
Yeah, honestly,
in the process of doing it right now.
Always do what's right. Be prepared. Make sure you get all your paperwork in hand, because when it first happened in 2012, you had to show proof of that you were literally in the United States for all those years. So like you had to have school reports, school transcripts, vaccination records, anything that had the time frame. So start getting your paperwork ready, start doing, make sure you do your taxes, making sure that you're getting everything in order. So if it does pass, that hopefully new dreamers can continue, because there's new dreamers every day, people that were younger or that maybe couldn't qualify previously, maybe qualify now. Just get all your paperwork in order. And honestly, the best thing to do is just always go to the main source, which is the website. And I can give you guys the website. You don't necessarily have to talk to a lawyer if you're really savvy about what is expected or what is required, which the website has really good information about how to renew it and how to do the process and things like that. And you can always call them, email them. So don't feel like you're with yourself. There's a lot of people out there that have this and will be probably more than happy to help you try to figure it out, because it is a hard process and not everybody can do it. But like I said, I've been doing it for many years now, since it goes past 2012, and I feel like I've mastered it somehow. So this one says the webpage, you go to google.com, and it's called the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services. So we call it USCIS for short, just an acronym. And then this one says you can request a renewal if you meet the initial 2012 data guidelines, which means you did not depart the U.S. on or after August 15, 2012 without advance parole, have continuously resided in the United States since you submitted your most recent DACA request that was approved, and have not been convicted of a felony, a significant misdemeanor, or 3 or more misdemeanors, and do not otherwise pose a threat to national security or public safety.
So basically, that's what this video is basically about. That is a big issue that obviously hits close to home for me, because my older sister is the only one in my family who wasn't born here and who has had to go through the whole process. And not a lot of people know exactly what that entitles or what that's like or what kind of struggles come with that whole situation. There's a lot of people that are misinformed out there. There's a lot of people that don't do their own research or just go by hearsay. So I wanted to come on here and let you guys know a little bit about what it's about, how you go about it, and how thoroughly the government actually checks on these people to ensure they're good quality law-abiding citizens, to give them the opportunity to hopefully make this society a better society, and to offer them an opportunity to to live the American dream. So hopefully you guys like this video. If you guys got any comments, let me know. Any questions? I personally myself don't know a lot about it. I just know for the most part over the surface, basically stuff that I've read online regarding what's happening in the Supreme Court. If anything, I normally go to my sister and she will give me the rundown about what it's like, because I personally myself have never had that kind of struggle. So, I just wanted to share that with you guys and let you guys know that if you guys are a dreamer or you have dealt with the DACA, or somebody that is in that program or whatever, that we understand where you're coming from, and we understand that there is a lot of judgment out there that is not necessarily right, because people don't know the full story. Thank you guys for watching. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye. Hey guys, so I wanted to come back out here and talk to you guys about basically giving you guys an overview about what me and my sister were talking about earlier today. My sister's very personal with her life, and she didn't really want to share a lot of her personal experiences, but I, as her sister, have seen it. We're only 1 year apart, so think about it like this: like everything that she went through, I experienced too, not because it was happening to me, but because it was happening to her, and I could see it. We both went to college, we both have college degrees. Unlike her, I got a student loan now to help me with my student debt, and then also I got financial aid through FastFood because thankfully I am a US citizen, and I was able to get financial help from the government to help improve my life and hopefully help me get better educated for a career and stuff. My sister didn't have the opportunity that I did. My sister had to work her butt off hours and hours in a restaurant so she could provide for herself. Like, I'm literally like so proud of my sister. Like, I can't even tell you guys like how much she has accomplished, like with all the struggles that she has gone through, with the discrimination that she has gone through, DACA, be scared every single year that possibly you're not going to be able to renew it, possibly you're going to be separated from your family. Like, this girl is such a hard worker. Like, she puts me to shame. And I've told you guys, I've always had 2-3 jobs, and I've always said, like, sometimes when I complain about life and I'm like, oh man, life is so hard, life is this, life is that, like, I check myself because like, I'm like, man, like, I should be grateful like that I don't have the struggles that she has. Like, I don't have to go to bed and worry about like, oh yeah, you know what, like, well, the laws changed to where they're going to kick me out to a country that I've never been to a country that I don't even ever consider home. Like, am I going to be separated from my family? Like, my sister's such a hard worker. She paid through her whole school. Think about it. She paid a whole bachelor's degree on her own without my parents' help, because my parents don't have that kind of money, and also because they weren't able to provide us with that kind of luxury. They weren't, they don't know any better. I know my sister mentioned briefly about my mom. I had mentioned to you guys in a previous video that Jerry Tweak's dad in Beauty Mars' dad is our stepdad. Yes, my mom came to this country illegally because at that moment in time, she had no other escape. She was being violently abused by my real father while she was pregnant with me. Like I'm talking about beatings to where she was basically being hospitalized and tortured and all this stuff. And she was forced to get married. Like, it was an arranged marriage type of thing in her hometown. And she was forced to marry someone who was 17 years her senior, someone she didn't even like or care for, and she was put in these predicaments to where someone who, unfortunately, because of my grandpa and their mindsets and where they're from, they don't believe in women going to school, so they never sent her to school. She never went. She went 1 week of kinder, and my grandpa found out that she was going to school, and he pulled her out of school and was like, what are you doing? Women are for the kitchen. They don't belong in the school. And not that that's I know it sounds really bad, but that's a super common thing that was happening back in the day. And it just saddens me because so many people make judgments on illegals and why they're illegals and why this and that. My mom came from a very poor town to where they don't have any electricity. Well, they do now, but not back in the day. They don't have no running water. They have to go and wash their clothes down a river. Like, they had to use the bathroom, and you'd make a hole in the ground and use the bathroom there. Like, I'm talking about like not a nice part in Mexico. I'm not talking about something that is like super, it's not the city. It's literally like a little ranch town in the middle of the mountains that these people have nothing. Like, even when I go to this day in 2020, if I were to go this year in 2020, I would be able to show you guys and record, like, there's still struggles out there where my parents are from. They didn't have a lot of opportunities and that other small Mexican areas have. More education, more awareness, more help, more jobs. They don't have that. Even when I go visit my tias and stuff, we still have to heat water outside. We still don't have toilets that flush, we still don't have roads that are nice and paved, we don't. There's not a lot of luxury there, and a lot of people don't understand that. Like, my mom, she till this day can't have a write you a full essay, understand. She only knows how to speak Spanish, but she was never really taught how to read and write Spanish, you know? She can write her name now, but she's been in the US. I'm about to be 30 years old. Like, it's took her a long time to learn, and we just know the slang. We can't really properly teach her either because we don't know the exact proper words, exact proper language. Like, she didn't do this by choice. She didn't choose to be an illegal by choice. How can someone who doesn't even know how to read or write their own language is supposed to pass a test in order to become a citizen or in order to become a legal if you can't even do it for your own language? Like, my mom would have to go to people and be like, hey, could you sign this? Can you help me fill out this application? Can you help me do this? And half the time they would write the stuff wrong because my mom didn't know what they were talking about, you know? So the reason why my mom brought my sister here illegally, not because she wanted to disobey the law, not because she wanted to defy society or the government, or she didn't want to pay taxes, or because she had an ulterior motive for not wanting to follow the rules, but she had no choice. And I feel like a lot of people mistreat illegals and immigrants because they feel like they're better than us. They feel like, they feel like they own us almost. And I might not have experienced the kind of stuff my sister has, but I've seen it with my parents, or my parents have told me, like, hey, we were at 7-Eleven and someone told us to go back to Mexico. And my parents, if you guys have seen my brother's channel, you guys have seen my parents are hardworking people. None of us have ever abused the system. And we've always had 1, 2, 3 jobs. Like, we've always been hardworking people, you know? And when I gave you guys that tour, of where I grew up, like, and I was telling you guys, it brought back good and bad memories. Like, it did, because there was times where we were struggling, you know? There was times where we just didn't know how we were gonna make it, you know? And it hasn't been easy, but it's because of that my siblings and I have chosen to be educated, and we've chosen to try to better our lives, and we've chosen to do the right thing and pay taxes and do the right thing and follow the rules and be a law-abiding citizens, because we don't want to be that statistic. We don't want to prove the president right. We don't want him to think that we are just baggage holding down this country, because we're not. We're hardworking people that deserve the right to be here, because from some of the things that I have seen in my life, and I have traveled quite a bit, we, the Hispanic community, have done a lot more than most people that I know my age that were born here and had better education, had better opportunities, and have chosen to throw those to waste because of whatever reason. Because they don't feel they need to do better. They don't feel like they need to try, because they rather do drugs, because they're accepted by this country no matter who they are. And we are not, because we don't belong. I hope this video helps you guys understand a bit from where we come from, and how much the dreamers, how much the DACA means to the dreamers, and how much it would mean if it goes away, for their dreams to be crushed if this bill passes.